There is a fundamental mistake 99% of people make when they think about strength. They picture something rigid, unbreakable, an iron wall that repels every attack. But this is a child's understanding of power, a brittle fantasy. The truth, known only to a select few throughout history, is that real strength isn't about being unbreakable. It's about understanding you are already broken in 1,000 places and using those fractures to build an unshakable fortress within. This is the great Stoic paradox. Today, we don't just talk about the philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, we decode the operating system of the 1%, the mental framework that allows a man to remain calm in the eye of the storm, powerful in the face of chaos, and free in a world that wants to enslave his mind. What do you believe is the ultimate sign of a man's strength? Let me know in the comments and let's see if your answer changes by the end of this journey. Look around you. Society screams at men to be strong, but it offers a poisoned definition of strength. It's defined by external metrics, the money you earn, the status you project, the dominance you display. It encourages loud reactions, mistaking anger for authority and suppression for control. This creates a generation of men who are internally fragile, constantly reacting to a world they cannot control. They are slaves to every notification, every opinion, every emotional whim. They build their house on sand and wonder why it collapses when the first wave hits. This video is the foundation. We are here to reject the modern, flawed definition of power and reclaim something ancient, timeless, and infinitely more potent. We are building the inner citadel Marcus Aurelius wrote about not in ancient Rome, but right here, in the chaos of the 21st century. This is your blueprint for becoming the architect of your own soul. Let's begin with the first pillar, the great lie of emotional suppression. Most men are taught to bury their feelings, to man up. They believe that showing no emotion is the same as controlling it. This is a fatal error. Suppressing an emotion is like holding a beach ball underwater. It takes constant effort, and the moment you lose focus, it erupts to the surface with even greater force. The Stoic, the man in the 1%, doesn't suppress. He dissects. He observes an emotion like a scientist observing a specimen. He asks, where did you come from? Are you based on a true judgment or a flawed perception? He understands that emotions are just data. They are not his master. This is the first step away from being a puppet and toward becoming the puppet master of your own mind. It is the transition from reaction to response. This leads us to the most practical tool in the Stoic arsenal, the dichotomy of control. It is so simple, yet almost everyone ignores it. Imagine your life is divided into two circles. In the first circle are the things you can control. Your thoughts, your judgments, your actions, your responses. This circle is your kingdom. You are the absolute sovereign here. The second, much larger circle contains everything you cannot control. The weather, the economy, traffic, what other people think of you, whether you get sick. The 99% spend their entire lives fighting battles in that second circle. They drain their energy, their peace, and their power trying to command the uncontrollable. The strong man focuses exclusively on his small circle. He knows that his true power lies not in changing the world, but in mastering his response to it. Everything else is a distraction. Now let's explore the concept of the inner citadel. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul can retreat into its own fortress, a place where the chaos of the world cannot touch it. This is not a metaphor for hiding. It is a metaphor for strategic fortification. Your mind is this citadel. Every time you practice the dichotomy of control, you add a stone to its walls. Every time you choose to respond logically instead of reacting emotionally, you reinforce the gates. The external world can lay siege to you with insults, failures, and misfortunes, but they can never breach the walls unless you give them permission. The man in the 1% understands that nothing can harm him unless he judges it to be harmful. The event itself is neutral. His interpretation is what gives it power. He guards the gates of his mind relentlessly. But how do you train for the siege? The Stoics had a powerful simulation for this: negative visualization. Most people live in fear of losing what they have: their job, their health, their relationships. The Stoic actively contemplates this loss. He takes a moment each morning to imagine his life without these things. This isn't pessimism. It is a profound act of psychological inoculation. First, it cultivates immense gratitude for what he currently has. Second, it prepares him for the inevitable reality of loss. When fate eventually does take something away, he is not shattered by surprise. He has rehearsed this moment. He has already felt the sting in a controlled environment and knows he can survive it. He has drained the future of its power to terrorize him. This brings us to one of the most misunderstood Stoic ideas: amor fati, or love of fate. This is a level of acceptance so profound that most find it impossible. It's not about simply enduring what happens to you. It's not about gritting your teeth and bearing it. It is about actively loving it. It is the belief that everything that happens, both the good and the bad, is a necessary and perfect part of the larger tapestry. The man who masters amor fati sees an obstacle not as a roadblock, but as a new path. He sees a betrayal not as a wound, but as a lesson in self-reliance. He sees failure not as an end, but as the raw material for his next success. He doesn't just play the hand he's dealt, he loves the hand, because it's the only one he has. This mindset makes him invincible. The path to amor fati is paved with another core tenet: the obstacle is the way. This is the art of turning adversity into advantage. Think of it like a blacksmith forging a sword: the fire, the hammer, the repeated blows. These are the obstacles. They are violent and destructive, but they are also the very things that transform a lump of iron into a hardened, sharpened blade. The average person flees the fire. They curse the hammer. They see hardship as punishment. The Stoic mind sees it as training. That difficult project at work, it's an opportunity to forge discipline. That painful breakup, it's an opportunity to forge self-love. That public failure, it's an opportunity to forge humility. Every obstacle carries within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit for the man wise enough to look for it. To maintain this perspective, you need what the Stoics called the view from above. When you are trapped in the drama of your daily life, your problems seem enormous. A minor conflict at work can feel like a world war. A critical comment can feel like a fatal blow. The view from above is a mental exercise. You zoom out, you imagine yourself looking down on your house, then your city, then your country. You see the entire planet, a small blue marble in the vast, silent emptiness of space. You see the billions of people living out their lives. You see the sweep of history, the empires that have risen and fallen. From this vantage point, how big is your problem now? This exercise doesn't diminish your life. It contextualizes it. It starves your ego and feeds your perspective, granting you a profound sense of calm. This cosmic perspective is balanced by a deeply personal one: memento mori. Remember, you will die. In modern culture, death is a taboo. It's something to be ignored and feared. For the Stoic, it is the ultimate motivator. Remembering the finite nature of your time is not morbid, it's clarifying. It strips away the trivial. It forces you to ask, am I spending my limited moments on things that truly matter? Am I wasting my energy on petty arguments, on seeking the approval of people I don't respect, on mindlessly scrolling through digital noise? Memento mori is a filter. It helps you say no to the non-essential so you can say a powerful yes to your purpose, your virtue, and the people you love. It is the secret to living with urgency and without regret. Let's talk about the tyranny of other people's opinions. This is the prison in which most men live. They tailor their actions, their words, and even their thoughts to win the approval of the crowd. Their self-worth is a reflection in someone else's eyes, constantly shifting and unstable. The Stoic understands a simple truth. Other people's opinions are outside of his circle of control. They are irrelevant data. He is guided by his internal compass, his principles, his reason, his virtues. He would rather be respected by one wise man for his character than be applauded by a million fools for his performance. This is true freedom. It's the ability to walk your own path, regardless of who is watching or what they might say. It is a quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from within. The tool for achieving this freedom is logic. The Stoic uses reason as a weapon to dissect his own destructive impressions. An impression is your first, raw, unexamined thought about an event. For example, my boss criticized my work. This is terrible. This is an emotional reaction. The Stoic applies logic. He breaks it down. My boss pointed out a flaw in my report. That is a fact. My judgment that this is terrible is an opinion I have added. Is it truly terrible, or is it an opportunity to improve? His opinion does not define my worth. By inserting this logical step between the event and his response, he short-circuits the emotional hijack. He transforms a potential crisis into a simple, manageable piece of information. This is the practice of a disciplined mind. This practice is encapsulated in the power of the pause. Viktor Frankl said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." The 99% live with no space. Stimulus and response are fused. An insult is met with immediate anger. A setback is met with immediate despair. The 1% cultivates that space. When provoked, he takes a breath. He creates a moment, even just a second, to allow his rational mind to engage. He asks himself, what is the most virtuous, effective, and rational way to respond here? This simple act of pausing is a superpower. It is the difference between being a slave to your impulses and the master of your actions. This self-mastery is not for selfish ends. A common misconception of Stoicism is that it creates cold, detached individuals. This is false. The Stoics had a concept called sympathia, the belief that all things are interwoven and part of a single, cosmic whole. We are all connected. Therefore, the highest purpose of a rational man is to act for the common good. Your self-discipline, your emotional control, your resilience. These are not just for you. They are tools that make you a better father, a better partner, a better leader, a better citizen. A man who has mastered himself is a pillar of strength for his community. A man ruled by his emotions is a liability to everyone around him. True strength serves others. This redefines the entire concept of success. In the modern world, success is measured by wealth, fame, pleasure, and power. For the Stoic, these are all indifference. They are external, outside of your control, and have no bearing on your true worth as a human being. The only true good is virtue. Virtue means living up to your highest potential as a rational and social being. It means acting with courage, justice, wisdom, and temperance. A man can be a billionaire and lack virtue, and in the Stoic view, his life is a failure. A man can have nothing and be virtuous, and his life is a resounding success. This shifts your focus from what you have to who you are. This is a revolution in your value system. To navigate the world of indifference, the Stoic uses the reserve clause. He acts with purpose and ambition, but he adds a mental footnote to every plan. And if nothing prevents me, or fate permitting. This is not a lack of commitment. It is the height of wisdom. It acknowledges reality. He gives his absolute best effort toward a goal, but he detaches his emotional well-being from the outcome. If he succeeds, he accepts it without arrogance. If he fails, he accepts it without devastation, because he knew from the beginning that the outcome was never entirely in his control. His success is measured by the quality of his effort, not the result. This makes him resilient to failure and immune to disappointment. Let's break this down into the 3 disciplines as outlined by modern scholars of Stoicism. The first is the discipline of assent. This is about what you agree to be true. It's the practice of policing your judgments. It's about not adding a second emotional layer to objective events. The event is, it is raining. A flawed assent is, "It is raining, and my day is ruined." The disciplined assent is simply, "It is raining." This discipline is the guardian at the gate of your inner citadel. It ensures that only objective reality gets in, not the stories and dramas you invent about it. Mastering this is mastering the foundation of your inner peace. The second is the discipline of desire. This governs what you want and what you avoid. The average person desires things outside of their control, wealth, status, health, and seeks to avoid things outside of their control, poverty, criticism, sickness. This is a recipe for constant anxiety and frustration. The Stoic reorients his desire. He learns to desire only what is within his control, to be a virtuous person, to respond wisely, to act with integrity. He learns to accept, and even embrace, everything else as fate. In essence, he trains himself to want what he already has. Can you imagine the power and tranquility that comes from wanting nothing more than what is already present in your life? The third and final is the discipline of action. This is about how you act in the world. Based on the concept of sympatheia, all of our actions should be directed toward the common good. This is not about grand, heroic gestures. It's about how you conduct yourself, moment to moment. Are you honest in your dealings? Are you patient with your family? Are you helpful to your colleagues? Are you contributing positively to the world around you? The Stoic understands that his character is not defined by his thoughts or beliefs, but by his actions. Virtue is a verb. It is something you do. A man's strength is ultimately measured by his service to others. Now let's address the idea of voluntary discomfort. The body and mind are like muscles. They atrophy without stress. The man who lives in a bubble of constant comfort becomes soft, fragile, and terrified of hardship. The Stoic actively introduces small, controlled doses of discomfort into his life. He might take a cold shower. He might fast for a day. He might sleep on the floor for a night. He might intentionally choose the harder path. This is not self-punishment. It is resilience training. He is teaching his mind and body that they can endure more than they think. He is expanding his comfort zone so that when real, involuntary hardship arrives, it feels familiar. He has trained for this. Think about how all these pieces fit together. They form a complete operating system for the human mind. The dichotomy of control gives you clarity. Negative visualization prepares you. Memento mori gives you urgency. The view from above gives you perspective. Amor fati gives you acceptance. The obstacle is the way gives you a strategy. The three disciplines provide the daily practice. This isn't a collection of life hacks or positive thinking slogans. It is a rigorous, logical, and coherent philosophy for living a life of virtue, resilience, and tranquility in a chaotic world. It's a system designed to forge an unbreakable will and a profound inner peace, no matter the external circumstances. So what does the modern Stoic, the man in the 1%, look like today? He isn't a stone-faced statue. He feels emotion, but he is not ruled by it. He has ambitious goals, but his happiness is not dependent on them. He listens to criticism, but his self-worth is not affected by it. He faces setbacks, but he is never a victim. He is the calmest person in a crisis. He is the most reliable person in a partnership. He moves through the world with a quiet confidence that is not based on what he has, but on who he has chosen to become. He has built his inner citadel, and from that fortress he acts with purpose, clarity, and strength for the good of himself and for the good of the whole. We come back to the paradox we started with. True strength is not found in resistance to reality, but in absolute, total acceptance of it. It's not about being an unbreakable wall. It's about being like water, which is soft and yielding, yet can wear away the hardest stone. The 1% understand that power is not about controlling the world. That is a fool's game. The only real power, the only power that can never be taken from you, is the complete and total mastery over your own mind. That is the ultimate lesson of Marcus Aurelius. You do not control what happens, but you, and you alone, control your response. In that single choice lies all your power and all your freedom. Thank you for joining this exploration. If this resonated with you, subscribe and become part of a community committed to building real strength. Now I ask you one final thing. What is the one obstacle in your life that you will now choose to see as an opportunity? Share it in the comments below.